Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air, the manhunt in New York City at this hour for the man who murdered a CEO right in front of a hotel. Tonight, we have new reporting here, the chilling images capturing the moment the gunman opens fire in the heart of Manhattan, killing the CEO of UnitedHealthcare outside the Hilton Hotel. The gunman just feet away with a gun that appears to have a silencer, shooting the victim multiple times. Police saying this was premeditated. The shooter was waiting to kill the CEO, husband, and father. The suspect then escaping into Central Park. Aaron Katersky standing by with what he's just learned tonight. Also breaking, this new fast-moving storm at this hour from the Midwest all the way to the Northeast. A blizzard warning, up to 10 inches of snow and winds up to 65 miles per hour in some places. New York City, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C. on alert for dangerous winds. Lee Goldberg times this out. Also just in, word of a deadly school shooting at an elementary school, an adult opening fire on students. What we're now learning. President-elect Trump's embattled pick for defense secretary, former Fox host Pete Hegseth. Tonight, his mother now defending him on cable news. And ABC News tonight learning Trump is now privately considering a potential list of other choices to lead the Pentagon. The news coming in, a plane at Newark Airport, the emergency slides deployed, passengers rushed off, what we know so far. Tonight, there's also news in the search for that missing grandmother outside Pittsburgh. The 30-foot sinkhole her 5-year-old granddaughter discovered in her car, what authorities have now revealed just a short time ago. Also news of a teacher dying after being bitten by a bat in her classroom. The recall tonight involving raw milk. And America Strong tonight, what they did for their grandfather, his life flashing before his eyes.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and we begin tonight here with the urgent manhunt in New York City right now after that brazen murder in Midtown Manhattan. A CEO murdered outside the Hilton Hotel. UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson, a 50-year-old husband and father of two, gunned down. Police calling it premeditated, preplanned. The gunman, they say, was waiting. The chilling images here tonight, police studying this surveillance video now showing the victim, Brian Thompson. This is around 6:45 this morning. The gunman shooting from behind, multiple shots. His weapon appearing to have a silencer. Police say the suspect then ran through an alley, then got on a bike and rode into New York Central Park, escaping. Tonight, authorities are now asking for the public's help, sharing these images of the masked suspect wearing a hooded jacket and a gray backpack. His face partially seen in this image right here, a reward of up to $10,000 now. The manhunt at this hour and what we've now learned about the victim, the CEO and father of two boys. ABC's Aaron Katersky leading us off tonight.
This is the chilling moment a gunman opens fire multiple times in the heart of Manhattan, killing Brian Thompson, the CEO of UnitedHealthcare, one of the nation's largest health insurers, as he arrived at an investors conference at the Hilton Hotel. Police studying that video showing the suspect firing from just feet away with a gun that appears to have a silencer.
Every indication is that this was a premeditated, pre-planned, targeted attack.
The horror unfolding at the start of the morning rush hour. Police say the shooter was lying in wait for several minutes. A woman standing in a doorway is seen running away when the shooting starts.
It appears that the gun malfunctions as he clears the jam and begins to fire again. From watching the video, it does seem that he's proficient in the use of firearms, as he was able to clear the malfunctions pretty quickly.
That's him, you know, when he was running, he got like a black gun, and I saw him after he shot him, he ran across the street.
Thompson, a 50-year-old husband and father of two from Minnesota, was shot multiple times in his back and leg. EMTs racing him to the hospital, but it was too late. After the shooting, the killer made his escape on foot through this alleyway. Eventually, he hopped on a bike and pedaled off towards Central Park. A surveillance camera capturing the suspect on that bike in a matter of minutes as he heads up 6th Avenue and is last seen entering Central Park at 6:48 a.m.
The shooter appears to be a light-skinned male. He's wearing a light brown or cream-colored jacket, a black face mask, black and white sneakers, and a very distinctive gray backpack.
Tonight, an urgent search for a killer and his motive. Did he have any known enemies or anyone that you've been able to find so far?
We're reaching out to law enforcement in Minnesota, and we're also interviewing his co-workers and family members to see if there have been any specific threats against him in the past.
Thompson's wife, Paulette, issuing a statement to ABC News saying, "We are shattered to hear about the senseless killing of our beloved Brian. Brian was an incredibly loving, generous, talented man who truly lived life to the fullest and touched so many lives. Most importantly, Brian was an incredibly loving father to our two sons and will be greatly missed." His wife not confirming whether there had been threats against her husband, but 3 different Minnesota law enforcement agencies told ABC News there had been no reports of threats against Thompson. Sources tell ABC News investigators believe a cell phone, candy wrapper, and water bottle found near the hotel are linked to the shooter. Detectives also recovered 3 live rounds and 3 spent rounds from a 9mm gun.
And we will not rest until we identify and apprehend the shooter in this case.
The targeted shooting just blocks from Rockefeller Center, where tonight tens of thousands are gathering for the annual Christmas tree lighting. The NYPD is trying to reassure them.
Millions of people will be enjoying the tree lighting tonight, among other holiday events, and the NYPD will be out there with them, keeping them safe.
This was really chilling today. Aaron Katersky with us live tonight from the scene. Aaron, the suspect, as you reported, they're escaping into Central Park. What do we know about where they're searching right now and any potential motives police might be looking into tonight?
Dozens of investigators are now scouring the city for evidence. They'd like to find something to extract DNA evidence. They're also canvassing for video, David. They'd like to catch a glimpse of the guy with his mask down, and they're investigating one possibility that this shooting resulted from a grudge, either against UnitedHealthcare or Thompson himself. David?
Yeah, they say he was waiting there and with a silencer on that gun. Aaron Katersky tonight. Aaron, thank you. In the meantime, we move to the fast-moving new storm, a clipper system from Canada with dangerous winds and snow. Alerts for 100 million Americans tonight across the Great Lakes and right into the Northeast. In fact, New York City, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C. all bracing for dangerous winds, too. Lee Goldberg has the forecast. Trevor Ault with the images already tonight.
Tonight, deteriorating conditions across the upper Midwest as a powerful, fast-moving system packing wind and snow heads east, bringing whiteout conditions to Fargo, North Dakota. This time-lapse showing a snow squall sweeping across I-94 in Warrens, Wisconsin. The new system comes on the heels of multiple days of snow that dumped more than 5 feet in parts of New York and caused chaos on the roads.
Oh, another one. Watch out.
New video showing a close call for Kansas law enforcement on Saturday as they were responding to a crash in Kansas City.
Yeah, my car just got hit too.
After this monster pileup on I-90 near Erie, Pennsylvania, residents there now bracing for the possibility of an additional 20 inches of snow on top of the more than 4 feet that already fell. And a race to clear what's already there. The heavy, wet snow is to blame for this roof collapse at a local business in Erie.
And David, here in northern New York, we are once again under a winter storm warning, potentially 20 more inches of snow here too, and wind gusts of 45 miles an hour. David?
Quite a scene. Trevor Ault with us again tonight. Trevor, thank you. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Lee Goldberg from WABC here in New York. Lee, time out the snow, the high winds, of course, coming to the Northeast. New York City even bracing for this.
Indeed, David. Not all clippers created equal. This one's high impact. We've got winter weather alerts that go from the upper Midwest all the way into the Northeast, and that includes lake snow warnings and even a blizzard warning. Now, the heaviest snow is moving from the Great Lakes into the Northeast tonight. In fact, by morning, we could have some snow squalls just northwest of the I-95 corridor. Some coastal rain and some of the heavier snows start to move in to northern New England. Then it's all about the winds behind this Arctic front. Some gusts to 50 miles an hour. It could be damaging. Watch out for those holiday decorations. Make sure they are secured. This is carrying in some really fierce Arctic air. Sub-zero wind chills by morning in Chicago. Feels like 4 below. The core of this cold will be right here in New York City by Friday into the start of the weekend. David?
Lee Goldberg back with us tonight from WABC Channel 7. Lee, thank you. We turn now to the breaking news from Northern California at this hour. We have learned of a shooting at an elementary school in Butte County. Reports an adult firing shots at students. At least 2 students raced to the hospital. ABC's Melissa Adam with late reporting now from California.
Tonight, authorities say a man is dead after opening fire on children at an elementary school in Butte County, California.
Shots fired, 27 Cox Lane between Highway 70 and Simpson Road.
The calls to police coming around 1 p.m., authorities racing to the scene. At the Feather River School of Seventh-day Adventists in Palermo, California, about 10 miles outside Oroville, officials say 2 male students aged 5 and 6 were shot and wounded and taken to the hospital. The shooter had met with the principal just today to enroll a student. A few minutes later, screams and shots were heard. Authorities finding the suspected shooter near the playground, dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The small school of some 35 students put on lockdown. The children taken to a nearby church to reunite with their families.
David, we're told that the FBI is now investigating this situation.
Melissa Adon with us tonight. Melissa, thank you. We turn now to President-elect Trump's embattled nominee for defense secretary, former Fox host Pete Hegseth, standing firm tonight, saying Trump has now told him to keep fighting. Hegseth's own mother now defending him on cable TV. But tonight, ABC News has also learned that Trump is now privately considering other potential choices to lead the Pentagon. Mary Bruce with the list.
Tonight, Donald Trump's embattled pick for Secretary of Defense, former Fox News host Pete Hegseth, says he will keep fighting.
I spoke to the president-elect this morning. He said, keep going, keep fighting. Behind you all the way.
So you're in this all the way?
Why would I back down? I've always been a fighter.
Hegseth back on Capitol Hill facing a barrage of new questions about troubling allegations involving alleged sexual misconduct, alcohol problems, and financial mismanagement. And tonight, multiple sources tell us Trump is now considering other options to lead the Pentagon.
Excuse us.
Are you planning to drop out?
Today, Hegseth calling those allegations the art of the smear, adamantly denying a rape accusation and saying he doesn't have a problem with alcohol, even promising not to drink if he gets the job.
He offered up to me, and I know he has with other senators too, that he's not drinking, and that's not something he's going to do when confirmed here.
And tonight, Hegseth now relying on his mother, too, to make the case for him. Today on Fox News, his mother saying he's a changed man. But when asked about a 2018 email she wrote him accusing her son of being an abuser of women, she didn't deny the email, but maintained he's different now.
I would just say that some of those attachments or descriptions are just not true, especially anymore.
Tonight, with a growing number of Republican senators signaling they are not behind him, Hegseth, an Army veteran with no military leadership experience, still making the case for himself.
That's what Donald Trump asked me to do. Your job is to bring a war-fighting ethos back to the Pentagon. Your job is to make sure that it's lethality, lethality, lethality. Everything else is gone. Everything else that distracts from that shouldn't be happening. That's the message I'm hearing from senators in that advise and consent process.
He can lose just 3 Republican senators, today trying to court key skeptics, including Republican Senator Joni Ernst, who could also be up for the job if Trump moves on.
It was a very thorough conversation.
With Ernst on Trump's possible replacement list, when asked about it by reporters,
Mr. Hegseth is the nominee.
If it's not Hegseth, we've learned Trump is not only considering Ernst, but also possibly Tennessee Senator Bill Hagerty and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
It's not 100% clear to me who he wants as Secretary of Defense right now, and I defer to him.
So let's get right to Mary Bruce live at the White House again tonight. Mary, Senator Joni Ernst really didn't want to engage there when she was asked about being a possible replacement for Pete Hegseth. How about Governor Ron DeSantis tonight? Does he want the job?
Well, David, sources tell us that Trump and DeSantis did speak about this yesterday and that DeSantis made it very clear he is interested in the job. But they were bitter rivals during the primary. It would be quite something to see DeSantis join the Trump administration, given their past. David.
Mary, thank you. We're also learning more tonight about the massive Chinese hack into phone systems right here in the U.S. Federal authorities acknowledging for the first time Chinese hackers successfully stole data from hundreds of thousands of Americans, hacking at least 8 telecommunication companies, and now suggesting Americans who don't want their text messages and conversations stolen by China to use apps for encrypted messaging. Here's Pierre Thomas.
Tonight, the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee telling ABC News millions of Americans could potentially be impacted by a massive Chinese hacking and espionage campaign. Authorities now say at least 8 American telecommunications giants were compromised as part of a recently discovered global hacking operation. The news coming as ABC News learned U.S. authorities suspect the data of hundreds of thousands of U.S. mobile phone users was stolen, with more than 1 million unsuspecting consumers likely affected.
Senator, just how serious is this issue?
This is the worst telecom hack in United States history.
According to the FBI, the Chinese government stole a large amount of data, including who the phone users were talking to, when they spoke, and where they were communicating from. In some cases, the Chinese hackers were able to read text messages and to actually listen in on conversations of a small group of high-profile Americans. But officials today also acknowledging the massive privacy implications for so many average Americans. Tonight, they're urging consumers to use encrypted apps for their communications, including text messages and voicemail recordings.
Officials acknowledge that those hackers are still in those phone networks and say it will take some time to get them out, David.
Saying not just politicians and government leaders, but everyday Americans, too, in this country affected by this Chinese hack. Pierre Thomas, this is something. Thank you. From the Supreme Court tonight, oral arguments in a landmark case that could determine access to health care for transgender youth across this country. In question, a Tennessee law banning gender-affirming care, such as hormone therapy and puberty blockers for minors. Several Tennessee families with transgender children say the law is unconstitutional. The conservative majority on the court seemed to side with Tennessee's move. 26 states have passed laws restricting gender-affirming care. The Supreme Court's decision expected this spring. When we come back tonight, late word coming in tonight in the search for that missing grandmother outside Pittsburgh, that 30-foot sinkhole her 5-year-old granddaughter discovered in her car, but authorities revealed just a short time ago. Then the news tonight about that art teacher dying after being bitten by a bat in her classroom. More on that in a moment. Tonight, we're now learning outside Pittsburgh, rescuers there looking for that grandmother at that 30-foot sinkhole now call this a recovery operation. They had hoped to find Elizabeth Pollard alive. She disappeared while looking for her cat. Her 5-year-old granddaughter was found in the car. But late today, authorities said unless there's a miracle now, this is now considered a recovery operation. They're concerned an old coal mine could collapse, putting rescuers at risk.
We're not going to stop. We're going to work smart and make sure that we don't create a more horrific scenario for the people in this community and potentially collapse that entire mine.
They say the recovery operation will continue, but very carefully. Tonight, images coming in from Newark Airport at this hour. Concern over the smell of smoke on the plane, forcing evacuations, causing a ground halt. The United flight to Detroit returning to the airport, passengers deploying down slides. There's no word yet on the cause. When we come back here, the art teacher dying after being bitten by a bat found in her classroom, and the recall tonight involving raw milk in just a moment. To the index of other news, an art teacher in Fresno County, California has died of rabies 1 month after being bitten by a bat at Bryant Middle School. Her family says teacher Leah Sanong found the bat in her classroom last month. She was bitten trying to take it outside. This is the first human rabies death in Fresno County since 1992. A raw milk recall in California is expanding tonight after multiple samples tested positive for bird flu. Raw Farm in Fresno pulling its whole milk and cream from stores and stopping production. The recall covers containers produced between November 9th and November 27th. No known human cases of bird flu have been confirmed in people who drank raw milk. When we come back here, what 7 grandchildren did for their grandfather his whole life flashed before him.
ABC World News Tonight with David Muir, sponsored by Pacific Life, creating financial security for nearly 160 years.
Finally tonight here, the grandchildren celebrating every chapter of their grandfather's life. Tonight in Maryville, Tennessee, just outside Knoxville, the incredible surprise for a grandfather on his 80th birthday.
Oh my goodness.
That's Granddad, who they call Papaw, seeing his whole family dressed like him.
We're dressed like you, Papaw.
All wearing maroon sweatshirts and khakis. But this keeps going. Each of his 7 grandchildren dressing up like their grandfather in different stages of his life, all to honor Papaw.
I'm Papaw when he was in an elementary school quartet.
I'm high school football Papaw.
I'm fraternity Papaw.
I'm Papaw at the beach. I'm Papaw when he got married.
I'm Papaw as a young dad.
I'm working Papaw.
Each of them walking in to surprise him. First elementary school, then football.
You get a 65.
At the beach. On his wedding day. And as dad in 1982, just wearing that green polo and those pants.
Now this was the style.
And right here tonight,
Hey, David.
their grandparents.
What a great idea, and we feel really loved.
What a way to celebrate 80 years.
And joining us too, all 7 grandchildren.
Hey, David.
Kenzie.
Our family is truly so tight-knit, and I'm so grateful for that. And it was awesome to celebrate my Papaw's 80th year of life.
Hey, David.
Cameron.
This was such an awesome experience and a great way to celebrate our Papaw.
Jackson.
He's the best, and I know he loved it on his 80th birthday.
Carson, who was Papaw on his wedding day.
I look up to my Nana and my Papaw's marriage a lot, and I want my future marriage to look like that.
Mason.
This was such an amazing way to celebrate my Papaw's 80th birthday.
Hutton.
He is literally the best Papaw ever.
And Colton too.
I love Papaw so much.
Tonight, the grandchildren celebrating their grandfather in every stage of his life. Happy birthday, Bob. You're certainly loved. I'm David Muir. Good night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.